All right, compelling video content on a Friday. What? Eric here. I'm in the beautiful Northern California hillsides, so eat your heart out, Peter Zan. It's actually a little bit smoky and a little bit windy, but we'll see how this goes. So, everybody knows that I like to start my day with a little bit of bacon. Sir Francis Bacon. So this guy lived 400-ish years ago. He grew up in wealth, just massive opulence, and minor nobility. You know, that's how you get the sir in the front of your parents' name. His parents were both hyper-literate, scholarly types, and they had the puffy neck collars and the deep furrowed brows and the frowns and so on. So he got a pretty good education and became a lawyer. But he also became very critical of people who put scholarliness and ego over the grassroots pursuit of truth. In particular, he noticed that people were starting with conclusions and assumptions and working their way backward to proof. And when you search for proof, you can almost always find enough to convince you that you're right. So he flipped this on its head and he said, wouldn't it be better if we observed the world, we made guesses about how it worked, we tested to see if these guesses held up, and we gradually built a worldview out of our accurate guesses, and we let the other ones die. He had a quote that was something like, if a person starts with certainties, they will end in doubts, but if they're okay beginning with doubts, they can end in certainty. And as I like to think of it, am I certain enough to place a bet? And that's basically what we're doing at companies. It changed how a lot of people approached science and thinking in general, and I think it can also guide the way that we approach business decisions. So as consultants, we often come into discovery situations where the client knows for sure that they need this technological solution, that they're certain of who their audience is, and often their knowledge of their audience is based on their current customers who've self-selected into the company, which is definitely a signal, but it's a very narrow signal. So you've probably seen memes about the World War II Navy engineers who were deciding which parts of their bomber planes they should reinforce against enemy fire. I'll try to find a picture of it. If they looked at the holes in the planes that came back, they would reinforce the places that were most likely to have bullet holes. But what they really needed to do was to reinforce the areas that were hit in planes that did not come back. So in sales and marketing, there's customers who are going to be a fit for you no matter what. But what really matters is reinforcing our understanding of prospects who fall out of the funnel and they're shot down before they get to you, and engage them accordingly. For a business example, we did a project with a regional newspaper, and they were concerned that letters to the editor were calling them out for partisan bias, and they wanted to reduce perceptions of partisanship. And this was just before the orange guy came onto the scene. And we said, well, that's interesting. Let's back up and we'll do a content analysis of the letters. And it turned out that the complaints from the political left and the political right were mostly saying the same thing. They were both concerned with big elitism, and they weren't left or right. They were anti-establishment populists. So you had these Bernie supporter types saying the same things as the Trump supporter types. And then you had new media channels who were catering to this anti-establishment ethic. Those channels were just exploding. So in addition to helping them engage with local audiences in a way that made them feel more like us rather than them, we might have been the only social science PhDs in the world who weren't taken by surprise when Trump beat all the polls and won the presidency. It's because we started with observations and questions rather than assumptions. Now there's another benefit of starting with unnamed observations and questions, and that is reducing the damage from naive interventionism. I keep hearing more and more that we're in a doing economy, and there are huge benefits of being able to connect strategy to concrete action. Of course, that's the whole premise of our company. But if we don't really challenge ourselves and our clients at the outset to start with uncertainty, it's really easy to run in the wrong direction. The doing economy of today quickly becomes the undoing economy of tomorrow, and firms can't afford to repeat those mistakes. Okay, that's it. I'll see you around.